Hi everyone, welcome to our Web3 Builders presentation. Today we have Han Yin from Phala Network to do a presentation on Phala Network. Han Yin, I'll let you take it from here. Just as a quick reminder to everyone, we have the open chat channel on the right of the screen, but down below there is an ask a question function. So if you have any questions during Han Yin's presentation, feel free to submit a question, and then you can also vote on the questions you like the most. I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, so before the talk, I would like to share a video.
Everything owes its existence solely and completely.
Hello, everyone. So I'm very glad to be here to share your talk. So let me present. All right. I'm Han from Phala Network. So today I will talk about Phala Network and Web3 Analytics. So these are our Web3 privacy data infrastructure. I'm the co-founder and the lead developer of Phala Network. So before I start the talk, I will break it into two sections. The first section will be non-technical. We'll talk about the data privacy in Web3 and how we build our project to help in this area. And the next section will be more about our technology. So it will be a little bit hardcore, but don't fear of that. It is not going to be very hard. So by the end of each section, so if you have any questions, just feel free to post your question in the Crowdcast. So you will be able to see a button, so you can put your questions there. So after each section, I will try to answer your questions. All right, so the first topic is about privacy. So I believe this is the core value of Web3 because, your privacy, you have already, when you're using the products offered by the tech companies, you have already handled your privacy to the big companies. So here is a sentence I took from the Polkadot light paper. Data is becoming a resource more valuable than oil, and we are giving it up for free with no choice but to trust that it won't be lost, stolen, or misused. Actually, this is how the data is collected and used by the product you use every day. So let's say how is the data used in the internet nowadays. As a user, the companies will collect your data, and the data collected is owned by the company. So they just store your data in their database. So you have no other choice because there's no other options. You have to use the products offered by the tech companies. But is it reliable? If it's reliable, maybe you're not going. You will not hear any news about data breach. So in 2018, Facebook, there are like 50 million users' data leaked, and in 2019, the Marriott have leaked 500 million users' data. So that's horrible. But how can we fix it? Now we're talking about collect and manage the data in a Web3 space. But how can we fix it? I think first of all, we shouldn't let the company to own your data. Instead, we should have something. We still don't know what can be used here, but you can just imagine there is a trustless black box can help you handle your privacy data magically. So basically, if we have such black box, we can use it to collect and manage the data. So when any company or any people want to use your data, they just request the access of your data from that black box. So if we somehow have a black box to manage your data, maybe this can be solved. But how can we? What kind of technology can be used here? I think first is that you should have an idea that the data is not very easy to handle because the data is too easy to copy. So as long as it's handled by a human, you don't really know what the human will do with your data. They can just copy your data and store it somewhere, maybe misuse it, maybe it could be stolen, and you have no idea. But to make it trustless, maybe you will think about something like smart contract. But the bad news is that nowadays all the blockchains, everything on the blockchain, of course you can use a smart contract to run your business, right? But everything on the blockchain is transparent. So if you use a smart contract, it means that you can't deal with privacy. So how can we solve it? So that is something we call confidential smart contract. So it's like a smart contract, but we can make it possible to handle confidential information. It means it's just like a smart contract on Ethereum or other blockchains, but it can handle secrets. So this is what we are building. So in Phala Network, we're building a blockchain with some technologies that implements confidential smart contract. With confidential smart contract, your input, output, and also the intermediate states are all encrypted. So as long as you are not authorized by the smart contract, you will not be possible to access any data in the smart contract. But in the first section, I'm not going to talk a lot about the details, how we implement confidential smart contract, because it's too technical. So I will leave this to the section 2. So now we just assume we have a magical confidential smart contract platform, so we can use it to help us to collect and manage the data. But the problem is how the data is collected. Where is the data? There are a lot of ways to collect the data, but the first stop is something called analytics plugin. So if you are a webmaster, if you run a website, I guess probably you are very familiar with Google Analytics. So actually, Google Analytics is the biggest analytics tools for you. It's free. It can help. It helps you to measure your daily active user, the page views, the session duration, so that you know how many users are using your website and how this user what they are doing on your website. So this is a very, very fundamental data collection plugin, and it's really useful for your business. But this is centralized, you know. You have no idea how Google Analytics will use your data. Maybe it will be collected to help the Google Ads platform to push some ads to your customers, and maybe someday there will be a data breach. But actually, the funny thing is that we have investigated the top 20 market cap blockchain projects. So this is the so-called Web3 space. So even this decentralized project, all of them are still using the centralized data collection plugin. 95% of these projects are using Google Analytics. So do they really want to use the centralized solution? I don't think so. It's just because there's no replacement. They have no other choice. So to solve the problem, I'm introducing our project, Web3 Analytics. So in Web3 Analytics, it is an infrastructure to help you manage, collect, and analyze the privacy data. First of all the data collected by the Web3 Analytics will be stored in a trustless, decentralized storage, and is end-to-end encrypted. Only the user have the access to the data. And besides the user, the confidential smart contract, well, assuming we already have such infrastructure, so if we want to analyze the data, all the analysis will be running as a confidential smart contract. It will be running on a trustless platform, so the user will be able to audit and check if the confidential smart contract is actually analyzing the data or use the data in an authorized way. So the user will be able to control if a certain confidential smart contract can be used to analyze their privacy data. We will also offer a privacy data console for the user, so the user can manage, authorize, and delete all the collected data. It will just like if you're using an iPhone or Android, there is in the setting page, there is a page allowing you to check the privacy settings, so you can like turn on and turn off the geolocation and maybe push notification, but we extend it for all the data collected by the website. So it's just like as easy as using a smartphone to control your how your privacy data is collected and used. So as a result, users get 100% control over their privacy data. So here is screenshots of our developer dashboard. So on the dashboard, as a developer, you will want to integrate Web3 Analytics to a website. It's just as easy as using Google Analytics. So you just spend like 1 minute to make the integration, and I'm going to demo it soon. And also we will offer a personal data console for the user side. So as a user, if you are visiting a website integrated with Web3 Analytics, you can use the personal data console to audit, to manage, and to review how your data is used. So it's demo time. Here, here is the developer dashboard. So as you can see, we already have a website and there is already some data. But I'm going to start from creating a new integration. Let me make it larger. Okay. So I can add a product. So in the add product page, you will need to enter the domain of your website. So for example, web3 analytics.phala.network. Web3 Analytics. So this is description of Web3 Analytics. And also, so in the demo, it will ask you to enter the Phala account. Actually, it is the Phala. It is the blockchain address. But in the demo, because we use the mock backend, because we're still working on the decentralized backend, so now we're using mock backend. So we can enter anything here. Next. All right. So it shows a snippet of scripts. So it's just if you have some experience using Google Analytics or other analytics tool, you will also have a similar step. You will need to copy this this code snippet and insert it into your website. It's just as easy as copy and paste. So yeah, we can just do it in just 1 minute. Because this is a mock the backend, so we don't actually insert it into a website. So we'll just click done. All right, this is the, as you can see, I have switched to the website we just created. So as you can see in the dashboard, it's just like your favorite Google Analytics in Web 2.0 space. So you can see your active user, you can see the views, the trend, user retention, and the users by time of day. Also the page view, and even the geolocation. But so far so good. But what makes it different from a Web 2 analytics tool? Here is the difference. There is a tab called Template Manager. So instead of offer you all the features just like the Google Analytics, you will need to configure it, what kind of data you're going to collect and how you will use it. So we have defined this analysis as a few smart contract. So if we click add, you will see there are already a few predefined smart contracts. There are real-time users, page views, visited users, like that. And I click OK, so it will be added to your website. And you can always cancel some of the analysis if you want. And when you add any contract, you will also need to adjust your user agreement or privacy policy. So each predefined analysis will come with a user agreement But in this demo, we didn't have the content, but in the real product, it will show the generated user agreement. So you will copy this paragraph and paste it into your user agreement. User will need to agree that before using your product. Okay, so because the user will have the power to, they will have the right to turn on or turn off each analysis. So there is a authorization rate. So if, for example, if all the user agree to collect this kind of data and can show the analysis result to you, the authorized rate will be 100%. But for example, if half of the user don't agree to be collected, then it will be like 50%. This is the developer dashboard. And what about the user side? So as a user, I will have something called the personal data console. So as a user, as you can see, there are already 4 projects integrated with Web3 Analytics, that is Phala Network, Pilibra, Web3, W3C groups. And let's just check one of the website. So I can manage the data. For example, I can manage the data used by Pilibra. In the manage page, you will be able to see how the data is collected. For example, the page visit and the time and which tag, which metadata is collected. And of course, all the data is collected and encrypted end-to-end and stored in a decentralized storage. So without your permission, without your authorization, nobody can access it. And you can download the data, of course. And you can also remove some data. For example, if you just think today I don't want my data, the data generated today to be collected or used by any third party, you can select all the data generated today and click remove. So it will be removed and nobody will be able to access it in the future. And of course, it will also be possible to check how the data is used by the website. Oh, oops. I clicked something bad. Okay, so we need to wait a minute. Yeah, and of course, besides you can see the data collection history, you will also be able to manage the authorization. So in the Authorization Manager, you can see how your data is used by the website. For example, in this page, it shows there are a few stats and a few behavior data is collected. You can always cancel the authorization as you want. And at the same time, because each analysis will come with a paragraph to describe how the data is used, you can also audit the code. So the code is deployed on the Phala network. So you can check, if you want, you can check if the description actually match the smart contract implemented on the Phala network. But in this demo, because this is just a conceptual demo, so we don't have the actual code deployed. All right, so let's come back to the presentation. So this is basically a very simple demo of the developer console and also the personal data console. So with Phala Network, we build we built the Web3 Analytics to help you control your privacy data in a trustless way. That is achieved by letting by making a decentralized and trustless service to collect and help you manage the data. And if anyone wants to use your data, it will you will need to authorize it before, so you get 100% control over your data. And that is built on top of Phala Network. Phala Network implements confidential smart contract. So you can build the data management infrastructure and deal with the privacy data on a blockchain. This is the biggest difference with Phala Network and other existing blockchains. And of course, we're very proud to be a member of Web3 ecosystem. So this is the overview of Web3 Analytics and Phala Network. So now do you understand what is Phala Network? What is Web3 Analytics and Phala Network? All right. So far this is the first section. I'm going to check the questions if you have. Okay, I saw one question. All right, the question is, what are the key difference with Enigma? Isn't that what they do as well? Well, this is actually a very good question. So Enigma is also built on trusted execution environment, and actually I'm going to cover this in the next section. It will be more technical. And at the end of the next section, I will answer this question. Okay, so
Han, there's two more questions there. They're just not showing up for you, so maybe I can read them out for you.
Sorry, it's a bit noisy. I'll try to mute myself. And can you please repeat your question?
Yeah, the question is, what decentralized storage is used to store data?
I'm so sorry. It's still too noisy. Maybe it could be nice if you can like post your question in the chat. Sorry, I didn't find where to mute myself. So if there's no more question, I will just go ahead to the next section. It will be more technical. All right, in the section 2, I'm going to talk about the technology. I'm not going to dig too much into the details, but just give you a very brief idea of how we build Phala Network and what is the technology and what is the difference between us and other similar projects. So first of all, I'm going to introduce the core technology, which is TEE blockchain hybrid architecture. So we use this architecture to build confidential contract. And then I'm going to show you how we write a very simple smart contract by showing you a smart contract like ERC20, but it's actually more like generic assets in the substrate palette. And then I'm going to introduce how we can scale, how we make it scale with Polkadot. And finally, so the resources of our website. Okay, maybe most of the people are not familiar with TEE, so I'm going to introduce trusted execution environment. So unlike other projects who leveraging the zero knowledge proof or multi-party computing, we choose to use software and hardware together to solve the problem. So the hardware we're using is called trusted execution environment. It's an isolated area in CPU. Actually, it's not. It's not very. How to say that? It's very common in most of the CPUs. So if you're using an Intel CPU, after 2060, I guess your computer already has the TEE support. So what is a trusted execution environment? It's just like a black box. It's isolated from the other parts. So we can put our smart contract running in the black box. So nobody else can touch the data inside the TEE or try to manipulate the execution or the data inside the TEE. So with the TEE, of course, we can run the smart contract and keeping the secrets. So everything in the TEE is encrypted. Even you're a hacker, you have hacked the operating systems, or you hacked your hardware, you still cannot access the program inside the TEE because it's well isolated. But however, if you can just run something inside your own CPU, it's not fun at all, because we are going to use the TEE to run smart contract for all the users. So how can a user to make sure some execution results is actually produced by a TEE, but not any malicious party? So this is there is something called remote attestation offered by the TEE. It allows a user to verify the TEE is actually a decent device. The TEE will have some pre-built secret inside the hardware. Nobody else can access to the secret, and it can be used to sign the payload as a proof to convince you something is running inside the TEE. But just a single TEE is not useful. We want to build a TEE network. So if you're using a single TEE, what if the TEE the computer hosting the TEE is shut down by the operator? So if we want to solve the availability problem as well as a few other problems by nature in the TEE, we need to use a blockchain. So the blockchain here, I'm not going to dig into all the details, but the blockchain here is just like Polkadot, the relay chain to the parachains. It helps the TEE network to establish a shared security among all the TEE nodes. And it can provide the timestamp service, and also it can serve as an availability layer for all the TEEs. So basically, if you want to run a smart contract on a TEE, you first deploy the smart contract on our blockchain, and then the TEE registered on the blockchain will try to pick up the smart contract and run it inside the TEE. So how do we write a smart contract? So actually, it's very simple. So we write smart contract in Rust currently, but maybe in the future we will support all the language that can compile to WebAssembly. In the confidential smart contract, it's a bit different from the smart contract you are very familiar with, because it can keep secret, so not everyone can read the states. So the first kind of operation you can interact with confidential smart contract is called command. It can help. It can handle all the write operations. So here is an example. This example, as you can see, we have three commands: is issue, destroy, and transfer. So the issue command, by invoking issue command, you can create a new token, and the destroy command, you can remove a token, and also transfer. You can transfer some token from your account to another account. So in the issue command, the code is simplified a lot for the demo, but you can get the idea. First of all, we can create a new B tree map to store the balance for all the accounts. And then we will create a new metadata for our new assets. And it will set the owner as the origin. And it will set the total supply, the symbol, and also the asset ID. And we just insert it into the storage. And then it's query. This is the biggest difference between us and like Ethereum smart contract. On Ethereum, you can just access everything on the blockchain because everything is transparent. But in Phala Network, because we're building a confidential smart contract, everything is confidential by default. So if you want to let someone to access the data, you will need to define a few queries. So here we have three queries. Is their balance, total supply, and metadata. So the total supply and metadata are accessible by everyone. So the code is very simple. It's just read the data from the states and reply it. But balance is not. Only the user of only the owner of an account can access his balance. So it's just like Monero or Zcash. You cannot read the balance of others' accounts. So in the first line of code under the balance query is to check the origin. So yeah, in Phala Network, all the queries are also signed by your private key. So inside the query, we can know who is making the request. So if there's no origin, the query is not signed, it will just return an error not authorized. And if the origin is not the owner of the current account you are query, it will also return not authorized. But after checking the authorization, it will respond to you the balance. So here we actually have a demo. This is the first proof of concept testnet of Phala Network, and it's very simple. It's just a ERC20 like demo. You can access the demo at testnet.phala.network. It's public available. So here is the user interface. First of all, we need to select an identity. So here I use H4X proof of concept when test. I will need to unlock my account. All right. And in the setting page, you will also see that besides the metadata of substrate, there are also the data, the information of P runtime. That is a a connection. It means a connection between you and the TEE is established. It's end-to-end encrypted, and you will see the connection there. There is you can see the latency of the connection, and you can see the runtime is initialized and is also synced to the blockchain. And of course, because the data is because the connection is end-to-end encrypted, so we use a ECDH key agreement protocol to derive a secret. And here is the public key of the TE runtime, and here is the public key and private key of your local web page. And you can also check the derived secrets. So let's issue a token. So to issue a token, I can just click create token. So I need to choose a name. So for example, Kusama. This is a fake Kusama. So the initial supply is 1 million. Okay, I will submit it. And as you can see, it's actually submitting an extrinsic to the blockchain. So so far, everything is still happen on blockchain, but the TE will read the commands from the blockchain and fetch it from the blockchain and process it in the TE runtime. So as you can see, the payload is encrypted. Okay, let me send the transaction. All right, it's finalized, but we still need one more block to get confirmed by the TE runtime. And then I can refresh the page. Oh, I still need to check unlock my account because everything is end-to-end encrypted. So I need to unlock my account. All right. Okay, this is the token I just issued. It's 1 million. It's 1 million total supply. So I can check my balance. And of course, because I create this token, so I have all the token on in my account. And there's also another button which can be used to query the balance of Bob. So what will happen now? My selected identity is H4X POC1 test. I cannot check the balance of Bob. So if I click this, whoa! So I get not authorized, just like shown in the smart contract screenshot. But what if I change my identity to Bob? First of all, I think I need to send some token to Bob. Okay, let me just send 10 tokens. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to Bob. And let's check the balance of Bob. All right, okay, so you can see Bob now has a balance of 10 tokens. And if you check the balance of yourself or check the balance of Bob, it works because now you are Bob, you are not anything else. If you change your identity to anyone else, you will also get not authorized if you check the balance for other people. Okay, so this is a very simple demo of Phala Network. And of course, we're going to build Web3 Analytics, the backend on Phala Network. But The Phala network is still in a very early stage, and we are planning to iterate a few rounds before we launch the mainnet. Currently, we have a working local testnet. You can access the testnet at testnet.phala.network, but in this configuration, there's only one node. There's one substrate node, and there's only one TE node. And actually, the TE node is also running in a simulation mode. But in the next few iterations, we're going to move to a more mature, more decentralized blockchain setup with NPOS. And also, we're going to make the TE network decentralized. So after that, I think it will be okay to migrate Web3 Analytics to Phala Network. Yeah, and I would also like to talk about the core difference between us and other TEE-based blockchain project. Just like the question, it was mentioned Enigma, and of course there are also other projects. To my knowledge, currently the state of the art TE blockchain is Oasis Lab, and Enigma is also a very good project, but none of them offer interoperability. So what is interoperability? Before that, I think I need to explain more how the smart contract is executed on Phala network. So on Phala network, the confidential contract are running inside TE. It's not run by a blockchain. The blockchain is just a relay layer, or the availability layer for the TE network. Because the TE is non-Byzantine, it means that the TE will not cheat you. It will just it may be shut down, may lose the connection, but it will not perform anything malicious, because everything is defined by the smart contract and is running inside the TE. Nobody can control how the smart contract is executed. It will just run the contract as is. So because everything is non-Byzantine, we don't need to run smart contract on every TE workers. So the good thing is that these TE nodes can run their own smart contract in parallel. It means that we can scale up we can scale up linearly. So as long as you can have more TE workers, you'll be able to run more confidential smart contract, because it can just be running in parallel. But what happens if two smart contracts want to invoke each other? If you check the top 10 smart contract on Ethereum, you will know that 80% of the smart contract will interact with at least one another smart contract, like read the states or invoke another smart contract. And this is called composability in Ethereum. In Ethereum, so actually the DeFi infrastructure is built in this way. So someone built the MakerDAO and someone built a compound, and they depend on each other with interoperability between the different contracts. But in TE-based blockchains, as far as we know, we are the only blockchain offer interoperability between the smart contracts. because they are running in parallel, we need a blockchain to help organize the communication between different TE workers. So we use a way very similar to Polkadot XAMP. So that's why we can also use the same technique to allow our confidential smart contract to interoperate with not just the smart contract on our platform, but also on other platform through Polkadot. So by this way, we can scale up infinitely with Polkadot. So I think this is the biggest difference between us and Oasis Lab and Enigma, other blockchain projects. We achieve this by using a so-called read-write segregation trick. So if you're interested, maybe you can take a look at our technical white paper. We have everything described there, and we have already covered all the details there. All right, so that's all for the technical part. And at the end, I would like to say that we are building Web3 Analytics and Phala Network because we want to make the world less trust and more truth, just like what is described in the Polkadot light white paper. We hope that our infrastructure can not only help our own users, but also the entire Web3 ecosystem. We can help the Web3 ecosystem to dealing with privacy and the data. So, okay, so this is Phala Network. And if you have more questions, just feel free to ask in the Crowdcast. And you will also be you can also feel free to find us at our Telegram or our website. And of course, all the code is open source on our GitHub. Actually, we are a Web3 Foundation grant winner. So all the so far, the development of Phala Network and the proof of concept of Phala Network is sponsored by Web3 Foundation. So you can check all the code is open sourced on GitHub. All right, so let's check if there's any other questions. The first question, what decentralized storage is used to store data? This is a very good question. Actually, we are not going to build our own decentralized storage, and we make no assumption of how which project we're going to use. So far, we think that maybe Filecoin could be a very good candidate, but we also have partners. We also have partners who are building a decentralized storage on top of TE technology. So this is also, we're also very interested about it. So before the mainnet launch, we will, because currently there's no very, I think there's no very major decentralized storage. So we're just going to use a semi-decentralized storage to build our system and let people to use it. For example, we can just create a cluster of IPFS nodes. So user can store their encrypted data on our IPFS cluster. And because it's IPFS, the user can also download the data to their own computer and also how to say that, maybe the term is providing the data from their own storage. So it will mitigate the risk that our cluster maybe could have some accident. So does this answer your questions? The next question is, will Phala Network just implement the analytics use case? Actually, Phala Network, we begin this project 1.5 years ago, and we switched to Polkadot and Substrate ecosystem mid last year. And we have been thinking about what is the use case of confidential smart contract for years. And after a few discussion and very carefully thoughts, we conclude that the data, I think the best use case is to handle the privacy data in a decentralized way. So Phala Network is actually designed for a platform for decentralized data management and data rental, data analysis. But it's not easy to just ask someone to put their data on the platform. It's insane. So we decided to create a product to let the user to onboard. So we will start from the data collection as our first use case. So that's why we decided to create Web3 Analytics as our pilot project. But of course, when we have more and more data collected and more data, the user will want to share with other people to earn some revenues from their data. Then we're going to build a data market. So in the data market, there is data, and there are some analysts who are willing to use the data. So if they want to use the data, they can deploy a smart contract on Phala Network, and if the user agree to run the analysis, then it deals. The analyst can pay the usage of the data. We call it data rental, because the analyst will not be able to access the raw data, but just the analysis results. And also the analysis can be audited by the user or any third party. But of course, another problem is that most of the user will not have the ability to audit smart contract code. So we, as shown on our Web3 Analytics, we offer a few pre-built smart contract. So it can cover almost most of the common queries and common analysis, and it's well audited and well reviewed by the experts. So by this way, we'll lower the threshold for the buyer and sellers to use Phala Network as the data market. So so in short, Web3 Analytics is not, it's just our pilot project. And when there's more and more user on board, we're going to develop a fully decentralized and trustless data rental market. Okay.
Okay, that was great. Thank you so much, Han.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to end the call now, so there's more of them starting soon. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your time, Han, and it was a great presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much. So this is a very good opportunity for us, and we are very appreciate for the opportunity to share our project and our technology with the community. And of course, we will work hard to make our product available for the community as soon as possible. Okay, just stay tuned and you can subscribe our Twitter and maybe you can check our demo on on w3a.phala.network to check our latest demo. And of course, you can find us on Telegram and Route. Okay, thank you very much and thanks for your time.